Now, I know I said I made a mistake not buying this comic book, but I'm starting to feel good about it now. There's no time, comic fam. Hit the like and subscribe while we chat about the hottest comic books in the world. Gem Mint, why don't you hit him with number 10?
I'm actually a little bit more than halfway through the omnibus of this. This is The Authority, issue number 1, and we know why it's on the list.
Light spoilers on Shazam Fury of the Gods, but who watched that movie anyways? I mean, the box office numbers are in and it's not looking good. The second post-credit scene features some familiar faces from another James Gunn-led property, Peacemaker, and we have characters trying to recruit Shazam to join their team. In a joking manner, they mentioned the name Justice Society. They mentioned the name Justice Authority. Is this just a nod? Probably, but they mention it for a reason.
We already know James Gunn has plans for The Authority, and this is the first premiere issue. It's also the first appearance of a couple of characters from The Authority, and we have 30 more slabs on the CGC census since we talked about this back on February 6th. That includes 58 9.8s, 16 more than we last reported.
The heights this book reached was $620, and this happened right during announcement, February of this year. Recent sales put it at $570 for a 9.8, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's chat about two record-breaking sales first. A 9.4, which prior sold in January for $52 before the announcement, and is now up 160%, selling for $135 post-announcement. The 9.6 also had its record-breaking sale matched and exceeded. Prior record was set in April of last year for $130, up 26%, now selling for $164.
And Tom mentioned that the CGC 9.8 just sold for $570. Well, first it sold for $506, then it sold for $555, and then $570, which is still 49% above the 12-month average.
I had a chance at buying this next book at a 9.8 and passed on it and watched it climb all season long. I thought I was going to regret it, but I'm feeling good about it now. At the list at number 9, Last of Us American Dreams, number 1.
This is the prequel comic book series that was released 2 months before the video game. Now, the season is over, so we're probably going to see this fall off the list, but we already know season 2 is incoming.
Keep in mind, Walking Dead number 1 at a 9.8 didn't exceed $1,000 for the first time until halfway through season 2. Are we going to see the same thing happen with The Last of Us? Could this be a lull? Perfect time to buy? Approaching soon. However, we do have some record-breaking sales. A 9.0 Ash Can last sold in February for $223, up 30%, now selling for $290. And then this standard cover 9.0 sold in January for $200, shattered, an increase of 21%, now selling for $241.
The CGC 8.0 is selling for $269, 20% above its 12-month average, and the 9.8 selling for $1299, maintaining that average but still with a 2% increase.
The record high was reached in February for $1,700. Considering the prices are around $1,300, which is what I was going to bid and purchase the comic book at 9.8 at, I'm feeling like I may have some time to secure this book cheaper than what it's selling for now.
And it's still a pretty scarce book, only 300 graded copies on the CGC census, and that's only 6 more than when we talked about this book last week, and only one of those was a 9.8. This show also has just become the most watched show on HBO Max with millions of viewers per episode.
And what a way to end the season with episode 9 hitting 8.2 million viewers. Comic fan, what do you think in the comment section below? What does this mean for this franchise long term? What do you think the collectible is going to reach come season 2? And let's take a look at number 8 on the list with Something is Killing the Children, number 1.
This is the first appearance of Erica Slaughter and others as well, and I cannot wait to see what they do with these episodes over on Netflix.
Just over 33,000 copies were ordered by retailers of this book. James Tynion, independent brilliance. The collectors love it, the readers love it, and Netflix is going to be seeing a rendition hit the screen eventually. But when this information dropped back in 2021, this book hit heights of $2,100 at a 9.8. We are certainly in an adjustment period, but the book is hot for a reason.
With a much higher census count than The Last of Us, we have 2,670 slabs on the census. That's 3 more than when we spoke about this last week on the Hot 10. Now, there are 527 9.6s with a record high sale of $950. Now, that was back in August of 2021. The last GPA sale was in March of this year, where it sold for $435. There's 1,910 9.8s, record highs on that, like Tom mentioned, 2,100, but its last GPA sale, $618 this month.
We have the third printing, 9.6 selling for $165. That's up 49%. The 9.8 third printing is selling for $291. That's an increase of 33%. And that brings us to the first print. We just told you someone scored one for nearly $600, and we have 3 different sales well above $700. One 9.8 sold for $787, another for $800, and the highest for $815. That's 12% over its recent 12-month average. Did these members overpay, or are they just paying to play?
I think whoever got it for $618 got themselves a great deal. Moving on to number 7, we have Batman Adventures 12, the first comic book appearance of Harley Quinn.
So we talked about Harley's first appearance in ongoing DC continuity just last week because of the Alex Ross signing, and the first thing we thought of was, where's Batman Adventures 12? Well, here it is. With a lot of great data, the book is indeed down from its heights. The 9.8 back in May 2021 hit $4,551. The last GPA sale, $2,550, and that was this month.
And there's 29 more CGC 9.8s on the census from when we last spoke about this back on January 9th. There's actually 185 across all grades that have been added, bringing that total up to 8,118.
And let's start with a newsy record-breaking sale. It's exceeding it by 1%, but it matched the price from a year ago. 9.0 sold in 2022 for $890 up, now selling for $900 this past week. We have the newsstand 8.0 selling for $725 on average. That's up 15% when you compare it to the last 12 months. And the 8.5 can't keep up. $700 is what that one's going for, 11% over its recent 12 months. We're hearing news that Lady Gaga's appearance as Harley Quinn may expand past the Joaquin Phoenix Joker 2 film.
And we have another record breaker on the list, a lower grade, a 6.5. It sold for $700 back in November, up now 21%, selling for $848. Then we have the CGC 9.0 selling for $749, 12% above its 12-month average, and the 9.6 selling for $1183, 7% above its average.
Keep an eye out for Harley Quinn. We have a new creative team, Sweeney Boo, as well as Teenie Howard on the writing. And we have Harley Quinn 31 coming soon, where she's going to be daydreaming about leading a manga-style epic event. Harley Quinn's getting a mecha suit, and the variants look stunning.
Derek Chu's got a 1 out of 25 ratio variant. I thought this was a picture of one of my statues. And then we have Phyla Bratukin with a 1 out of 50 ratio variant, and it might just be one of the most detailed covers I've ever seen.
Holy hell, the Jenny Frizen cover is gorgeous. Looking at the list now at number 6, we have Strange Adventures issue 205, the first appearance of Deadman.
Nothing new on Boston Brand since we last spoke about him, except for the fact that there are 15 more slabs on the census. There is an old James Gunn Halloween tweet where he tweeted out a picture of Deadman, hopefully foreshadowing things to come.
Clearly, James Gunn loves Deadman, and the slate is only half revealed, and with Swamp Thing in the distance, it makes these obscure characters look better and better by the day. We have a 4.5 selling for $450, up 39%, 6.5 hitting $650, that's up 13%, and the 8.0 hit $1,200, where it was selling near $1,000 all year long. That's an increase of 13%.
And then we have a record-breaking sale in the lower grades again with a CGC 2.5. This sold for $247 back in 2021. It's up 3%, now selling for $255. And Tom, I think you foreshadowed the next one on the list.
Number 5 on the list is Swamp Thing number 1, the first appearance of Alec Holland, the second Swamp Thing. Utilize code TOM101 on the best comic app in existence. It's called Key Collector Comics. You support the show but get access to a free 2-week subscription of the app in its entirety. But more than 95% of this app is free for anyone to use, to catalog your comic books, to get suggested pricing, and to keep up on this rapidly moving marketplace. Keep up with us and download Key Collector Comics.
It's also the first appearance of one of his main villains, Anton Arcane, and we have 31 more slabs on the census since this book reached number 2 on the Hot 10 2 weeks ago, bringing that total up to 2,638 slabs. We have one more in a 9.6, bringing that total up to 136. Record high sales of $1,800 in March of 2021. However, the last GPA sale in January of this year, 1,000.
There are only 37 copies, shout out Constantine, of 9.8 Swamp Thing 1s. The record high was $7,000 set in December 2021. The most recent sale was November 2022, where it reached $5,750. Not a whole lot of copies graded at 9.8. This book is a little bit different than a lot of the more modern books Bronze Age books that are spiking, the scarcity is going to push the price up a lot more than one would expect. The 8.5 saw a record-breaking sale. Last selling in February for $477, up 7%, now selling for $510.
The mid to higher grades are performing well. The 6.0 selling for $225, 44% above its 12-month average. The 7.0 is up 19% with its $235 sale, and the 8.0 is up 3%, selling for $300.
And a book that's been making the list constantly this year was number 1 last week, and now it's number 4 with All-Star Comics, issue number 58, the first appearance of Power Girl.
Still trying to figure out why Power Girl is making the list week over week. It's almost like the next best thing to the first appearance of Supergirl. That is a harder to get Silver Age book. We have record-breaking sales and high performers. The CGC 4.5 sold for $120 in June of last year. That's up 8%, breaking records, selling for $130.
The 6.5 is trending up. It's selling for $150 right now, where it was selling near the $100 marker all year. That's an increase of 32%. The 9.0 selling for $300 is up 27%, and the 9.8 selling for $2,650 is up 14%. And it's not down that much. The heights this book reached was back in 2022 June, where it sold for $3,500, and there's only 99 9.8s on the census.
Now, I already compared Power Girl to Supergirl, being that Power Girl is a version of Supergirl, at least from a different universe, but let's compare Bronze Age key issues. First appearance of Power Girl to the first appearance of Spider-Woman.
Marvel Spotlight 32, on the census, total count 5,109, where there are a total of 2,461 copies of All-Star Comics 58.
So similar type of characters, female versions of established heroes in both Bronze Age books, but one of them has half the census count.
Between 2021 and 2023, Spider-Woman's first appearance at a 9.8 routinely outsold Power Girls by between $500 and $1,500, and the census count makes up as much as half the amount.
This would be the third week that Power Girl has reached the Key Collector Hot 10. Moving on to number 3, it's more DC goodness. This one makes sense. It's Shazam, issue 1 from 1973.
We have the first appearance of Captain Marvel Jr., and Mary Marvel since the Golden Age, trending, largely because of Shazam Fury of the Gods, debuted this past week, and the projected amount that it cost to film this movie was $150 million, and it brought in under 35 opening weekend. Ouch.
I didn't even know this movie was still coming out, which makes sense that it's performing 40 to 50% worse than the first movie. We have a CGC 9.2, which did sell for $150, 22% above its 12-month average. The 9.4 sold for $185, that's 13% higher. And the 9.8 sold for $800, 5% above that 12-month average.
There's only 295 copies graded at a 9.8 on the census. Someone has one copy of a 9.9, and seeing $800 prices for a major character that this is for DC, it seems about right. I can't imagine it dropping that much lower, but clearly, with the future of Shazam seemingly in good hands, post-credit scenes involved, 9.8's hitting $800 doesn't seem that far off for such a major book that this is. However, someone recently grabbed a 9.8 for $700. That was the last reported sale. So clearly there's some deals to be had. The future of Shazam is uncertain, but keep an eye on this book.
I'm going to keep an eye on that book, and I'm also going to keep my eye on the mystery mail call. I've seen what you got going on for April.
House of Secrets 92, first appearance of Swamp Thing in reprint. Gabriel Del Auto trade dress cover. We got the classic trade dress going in one per box, and we announced it this past week. Exiled #1 Aaron Bartling doing an homage to Tomb of Dracula 10 on Wesley Snipes' brand new comic book. We have trades, virgins, foils, and medals of that one going out at random. ComicTom101.com to join the community. Get comics from us every single month and support what we do.
So far, this entire list has been either DC or indie, and number 2 is no exception. You know the book already. We read the book together. It's Omega Man 3, first appearance of Lobo.
What is going on, Jem? How is Lobo so damn hot? Week over week, there's no new news. I have my Google search on. Ryan, is there anything I'm missing?
No.
There is no new news. James Gunn's Spec affecting this book, whether it's Jason Momoa getting really excited or people just trying to figure out what's left on the James Gunn slate.
There's 30 more slabs on the census since this was number 2 last week, bringing that total to 8105. A CGC 9.4 sold for $140, 33% above that average. The 9.6 sold for $206, which is 42% above. And then the 9.8 sold for $355, 6% above its average.
This book is all over the place. It's certainly hot, but it's hit above $400 in recent weeks. And we've been telling you, CGC has been on it. They're pumping out slabs. I'm seeing members get their grades back to them within 21 days of submission. And it's reflecting on the census. We have 10 new 9.8s that hit the market this past week. The supply is up. The demand is here. But we're seeing some very average sales.
If you guys made it this far, you might as well hit that like button. You might as well hit the subscribe button and that bell while you're at it. Now, there isn't any new news regarding Lobo. Am I missing something on Wolverine?
Number 1 on the list, Frank Miller, issue number 1, Joe Rubinstein cover. We have Wolverine's first limited series. This book has been spiking all year, largely because of Deadpool. We also have a Frank Miller signing that's taking place at the end of the month, early next month. And although we have no new news, we're hearing a lot of rumors about Wolverine's participation in the upcoming Deadpool 3 movie, that he may not be the only Foxed Marvel character that may be seen on the screen.
We've seen Patrick Stewart reprise his role as Professor X in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. Rumors have it that we may be getting the original Professor X, Magneto, and Jean Grey, and even possibly Fantastic Four's Reed Richards.
And we're not talking Fantastic Four, John Krasinski. We're talking Fox franchises. This all sounds way more likely to take place during Secret Wars. Maybe this is a setup, or maybe this is just rumors circulating. However, this book be poppin' largely because of Wolverine and Deadpool Spec.
We talked about this book 4 weeks ago when it reached number 6 on the Hot 10. Since then, there have been 211 more slabs added to the census for a total of, hold on, 20,381 copies.
This was a monster week for Wolverine number 1. Between the grade points 7.0 and 9.2, every single point had an increase when you compare it over the recent 12-month average.
Yeah, anywhere from 1% to 28% above. We have a CGC 9.4 selling for $283, 41% above its average. The 9.6 sold for $300, that's 3% above. And then the 9.8 selling for $797, 8% above its average.
The book is about to reach $800 again, but the last sale was $616 for a 9.8, so some members are being patient and grabbing them on the low. What do you think about this book? What do you think about Wolverine? We know he's going to hit the screen again as Logan, but what about X-23? What about Dakin, anybody? As always,
geek responsibly and stay minty fresh.
Enough said. Comic fam, I am dropping so many exclusives at MegaCon. This is a first. I can't remember them all, so I'm gonna have to read them from my computer. Join me on Whatnot, link in the description. This is the convention to be at, if not in person, virtually, because I'm gonna be dropping all the variants I'm about to show you for $4. Link in the description gets you a $10 credit after your first $10 purchase. Take a look at these. Detective Comics 27, first appearance of Batman being homaged by Aaron Bartman. We're dropping that. We also have Little Red Ronin. This is an homage to Werewolf by Night 32 by Gunn. We're dropping that as well. We have a Nightfall variant we're dropping. We also have 2 different Shaw variants. One for Nottingham and another for Canto number 1, where he is channeling his inner Frank Miller. We also have a Vanish variant. That one's done by Ryan Brown. And a Vampirella versus Red Sonja number 2. This is a ASM homage to the first appearance of Morbius in ASM 101. Last but not least, I have a TMNT Armageddon, Javon Jordan Shredder cover holding those bandanas, an alt cover to a classic that was released just last year. I'm saving one of them to release a little bit closer to the convention, but I'll give you a hint. It's a Something is Killing the Children variant. And yes, I'll be dropping it for $4. Join me on the app. I'll see you at MegaCon and have a great weekend.